Hi everyone, today is Friday, June 14th, and Marc has 388 days left to go until his early release date next July 9th, 2014. But I haven't done a show last week. It's been a while. Some of you would know what happened if you follow us on Facebook or Twitter, or if you saw the upload of the CKNW radio interview that I did. But last week on Monday, Marc did not call me and didn't email me, and I heard from 3 different inmates that Marc had been put into solitary confinement, and nobody knew why, and the prison doesn't tell you anything. So I knew I had to get down to see Marc right away, and normally I fly down Fridays, and I had that booked. I had that flight booked, but I had to change it to Thursday because solitary confinement inmates only get 2 hours on Fridays to visit. So I needed to fly down on Thursday, which I did last week, and that was a nightmare of a trip. My flight was delayed and then canceled, but I was trying to get standby because I wouldn't make it to Mississippi in time from Texas if I took the morning flight, and it was very stressful. The entire airport was shut down from these giant storms that came through, and I was waiting and waiting many hours until 10:45 at night when I was standing at the gate praying that I would get on that flight, and I was the only standby person who got on the flight. And I thank everyone who is sending prayers and positive energy and trying to help out in so many different ways. I think you guys helped get me there. And so I got into Yazoo City at like 2 a.m. in the morning after driving an hour late at night after making that journey, but I was able to see Marc. Now, it took an hour longer than it should have to process us, so we really only got an hour to visit, but thankfully the guards there allowed everybody in the room, which is 5 of us, to visit for another half hour extra at least. So I got an hour and a half with Marc, and it was so depressing to see him in this bright orange outfit with shorts that were 4XL, tied up with a string around his waist, and he had these socks that weren't even, they were just rags of fabric with holes, and they didn't stay up, and he was in just such, it was so horrible to see him in that way, and to know he was locked down into a cell the size of a bathroom with a stranger for 23 hours a day and not able to reach out and tell anyone what was going on. But he was able to tell me what was going on, and he was informed when he was put under arrest and thrown into jail, which is what they call for inside prisons when you go to SHU, you're apprehended by SIS, which is for security, and they were claiming that these photographs of Marc and his prison band, which you've all seen months ago, that they were taken with a smartphone, and they had to investigate whether that was true or not. And Marc said to them, you guys approved this. He got permission. He had forms signed. You guys watching my show or reading Marc's blogs, you know that Marc did seek permission to have those photos taken with the prison camera and printed in the prison and mailed to me, and he got that permission. So the whole prison knew, and yet they were holding him in solitary, and it was just maddening because everybody knew, and why was he there? And some of us speculate that perhaps because his transfer application is being reviewed by the U.S. federal government right now, maybe they went online and saw his blog from April that had the photos posted. I mean, this is old news, but he was being investigated now. So they held him there, and I actually met an SIS officer when I was leaving the visiting room, and I told him I was going to get political and media pressure from Canada if they couldn't resolve this immediately. It should be easy to do, and I think a lot of people kind of sent their support in different ways, and thankfully Marc was released on Monday night from solitary confinement, 1 full week of what is defined as torture. Torture. Solitary confinement is torturing tens of thousands of people right now throughout the United States. Even youngsters are thrown into solitary confinement, and they can be there for 10, 20 years. It's a horrific policy, and it was terrifying and stressful and really horrible to have to go through that after a few years of things going kind of smoothly. But I'm just heartbroken for everyone else who's suffering that still. And we need to make sure we end that policy of torture throughout the U.S. and everywhere. So Marc is out of there, and we're grateful so grateful I'll be getting to see him, but not really that soon. We know that his transfer application should be approved in about mid-July. And hopefully a lot of people were sending letters and making phone calls when they were upset about Marc being in solitary. We certainly did get media coverage and a lot of people sending us encouragement and writing letters to Marc, but also contacting the US and Canadian government saying, transfer Marc Emery home. So that information is at freemarc.ca as always, and you can just make a polite phone call or send a polite letter to help get Marc home, because he's out of the solitary confinement, but we need him back home. And hopefully it'll be next year at the very latest, but maybe it'll be sooner. So thank you all for your continued support in getting him home. Now, CTV News did cover the story about Marc being in solitary, but they were also talking to me about the medical marijuana access regulations in Canada, which have now been announced in their form they're supposed to take next year. And the health minister has unfortunately decided that medical marijuana cannot be grown by patients or for patients by designated growers, that they're going to make every marijuana plant in every garden across this country illegal, and the only way to get medical marijuana will be through companies authorized by Health Canada. Now, I'm okay with the idea of a lot of companies being able to provide a lot of cannabis of a lot of quality and quantity to a lot of people. I think that's a model we should use. And we should also continue allowing dispensaries, compassion clubs, and we definitely need to allow patients to continue growing their own. If you watch the CTV segment, it's on our Cannabis Culture YouTube account, but I speak about the idea that this isn't actually harmful. What's harmful is prohibition, and that's causing all the problems that Health Canada is claiming they need to fix by taking away medical marijuana growers' right to grow. So that's a big problem, and we need to call our members of Parliament and calling Health Canada and letting them know that this isn't fair and it's not safe access for people. They need to be able to afford to grow their own medicine. And there are a number of different groups that are organizing to try and challenge these proposed changes. And the new program is going to be called the Marijuana for Medical Purposes Regulations. But definitely it's harmful to take away people's right to grow. And it also ensures that a lot of people who don't have Health Canada permission to use medical marijuana will be getting arrested and facing prison, even though they are sick and suffering. A lot of people can't get doctors to sign their papers, so a lot of people are going to be at risk of going to prison, and we already have the mandatory minimum prison sentences for pot here in Canada, so we're facing some very dark days ahead. But no matter how dark it gets, we never give up fighting. They're not going to put out our fire. We're going to keep going on. What else would we do? Just sit back and let it happen? No, no, no. We're going to keep fighting this. So I encourage you guys to stay up to date on what's happening at cannabisculture.com and pot.tv. And of course, we bring you a lot of different news and different people involved in making these changes and trying to improve the access for so many people across Canada who need it, and eventually for everybody across Canada, because it shouldn't be prohibited for anyone at all. So that's a news story you can watch at CTV. And I also want to mention, of course, a medical marijuana activist who would have been fighting very hard and very loud right now, Michelle Rainey. It would have been her birthday today. And I realized I'm wearing red lips, and Michelle was always big red lips and booby hugs. So a lot of people today are celebrating and remembering her, and I hope if you remember all the medical marijuana users and activists who have fought and who have passed away, we owe it to them to keep fighting. So make the most of your memories and do something in Michelle's honor. So contact your member of Parliament. I know she would say that. She'd say, write a letter to the editor and talk to your neighbors. That's exactly what she would say. Talk to your community. And Michelle, we miss you. But we'll keep fighting. And next week, I'll be at Idea City in Toronto, where I know Michelle was a big presence, who is really, really missed. And I'm sorry to get so emotional, but I know Michelle would be fighting so hard right now. And a lot of people are remembering her and really need to keep fighting. And at Idea City next week, I know we'll be remembering her too, and carrying on the message of everybody's right to grow and to find healing from cannabis. So go to michelleraney.com for videos and more about Michelle, and get a medicinal Michelle t-shirt. Jeff Tech would definitely love to get lots of people out there continuing to wear the iconic shirt that Michelle was always showing off and sharing with her message. So we love you, Michelle, and we'll keep fighting. And I'm not going to do a draw this week, and I'm not going to be doing a video next week, but in 2 weeks I'll be back with more news and updates, and hopefully Marc will have word by then about getting approved for transfer and coming home, so we can celebrate his freedom and his ability to be with the people he loves, and that's what he and everyone deserves. So we'll keep on fighting, and thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate all of your support through the very challenging week of Marc going through that, and I'll definitely be sending out everybody's packages that they're still owed with the free Marc t-shirts and stickers. And thank you so much for your support. We'll see you guys soon, and check out cannabisculture.com and freemarc.ca to help get Marc home right away. Take care, everyone. No more drug war.